Hey, girlfriend, you know who you are. You have big, big dreams. You want to write a book, stand on a TED Talk stage, be a life coach offering wisdom from your RV in Montana, a cafe in Barcelona, or a beach chair in Tulum. Your other girlfriends and your family, they don't always get your biz savvy. Why do you want to leave your JOB? Because you're a C.A.T.S, aka coach, author, thought leader, and speaker. Meet other change makers like yourself and find out how they make it happen. This is the Big Meow podcast.
Welcome to the Big Meow podcast, brought to you by C.A.T.S Network. I'm your host, Angela Howard, and I am here with Jennifer DePascale. She is the owner of Jennifer DePascale LLC and a coach, and she's going to tell us more about her today. So welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you.
So tell us more about your coaching and what you bring out in your clients.
Yeah. So it's kind of a combination of coaching and therapy. I always say you can't really look to your future without understanding that, without disconnecting from your past, and you can't really disconnect your past without kind of knowing where you're needing to go. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit of everything. I use a combination of ancient spiritual truths and modern techniques to help bring my clients back into alignment with, who they are at that really deep soul level. I think so many of us are feeling lost and, lacking direction. And what I do is help them find themselves, help them find what they came here to do.
What are some of the techniques? I'm curious.
Yeah. So it started, the first technique I learned was called Rapid Transformational Therapy. It's by a woman named Marissa Peer. And what we do in RTT is it's a form of hypnotherapy. And whatever the presenting problem is that we're working on in that session, through hypnotherapy, we can go back and find the original wound, the original root cause of whatever it is we're struggling with. So let's say if you're having a problem with somebody, what's happening to you in that moment in the present is not usually where the problem stems deeper, right? It may be because, this thing happened to you. Yeah. For example, I was working with a client who was having trouble speaking up for himself at work. And, it's not about the office. It's not about the job. It's not about the environment. What was happening was it went back to something that happened in, when he was a child in elementary school, standing up in a classroom. And that was ultimately what we had to go back in and heal. And when we find that original cause, it totally shifts the energy of where you are in the present moment. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I'm so curious. So RTT make me lose my desire for sugar?
Yeah. So you can definitely use it for all sorts of stuff. Again, it may not usually with food addictions and things like that. There are obviously some chemical components to sugar, but often there's an emotional component to any of those kind of things too. So absolutely.
Well, I was being tongue in cheek because I was sitting here thinking about that. But tell me how you use these techniques. I know how they help us in our personal lives and in our relationships, but give us the business application for the work that you do.
Yeah. So, I believe that you mean the business application, how I'm helping clients.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, I think that we all came here with gifts on a spiritual level. We all came here, and there are unique aspects to us and our experience that nobody else has and nobody else knows. And what I really do with my clients is I help them, a lot of things are blocking us, a lot of those old outdated beliefs, the things that we decided, that other people may have said about us as children that we internalized and then decided, oh, we're not good at this, or I'm not worthy, or I'm not lovable, or all of those things. We have taken on those beliefs, and it almost acts as like a shadow to who we really are. And so what we're doing in our work is we're going back, and the initial work that we do is really clearing up all of that outdated stuff that doesn't belong. There's a quote by Michelangelo. Is he the one who did the David? Yes. And he says that the David was always in the sculpture. All I have to do is chisel away all the things that aren't the David. Mm-hmm. And I think in that initial work, what we're really doing is we're going and we're just taking a deep evaluation on all the things that aren't aren't us, right? We're carrying so many things from our past and our childhood that aren't serving us anymore. And so that first work is to, is to get rid of all the old stuff. And then the second part of the work is really learning to listen within, is to understand the difference between ego and intuition or soul or higher self or whatever you want to call it. And so we're finding that deep connection back to ourselves. And that really leads us into a business that's, bringing our gifts into the world, into a business that's fulfilling and that's inspired, and that we find this, this universal energy that's helping push us forward, as opposed to pushing, when we feel like we're pushing a rock up the hill, doing a business that's just really not in alignment with who we are at that soul level.
I love that analogy, by the way. That's why I was nodding so much. I absolutely adore it. So how does somebody know that they need that kind of work? Because I found that a lot of people are kind of numb to the fact that A, something's wrong, and B, they can change it. So how do you tell us, how do you know? Where's the clue? Like, something's up and I could actually get it fixed.
Yeah. I mean, it's really listening, it's learning to quiet our brain and stop thinking about our problems and start feeling, does my life feel good? Does this relationship feel good? Does my business feel good? Right. And really start listening. And, life is not meant to be doom and gloom all the time, right? We are meant, it's, moments of happiness isn't just when we achieve a goal or, and then we have to shoot for the next goal. We can live peacefully and happily and guided and inspired all the time. And so it's really just a matter of understanding that our feelings are guiding us somewhere. And I use another analogy that, when we're living in alignment, it's when our inner world and our outer worlds are kind of matched, right? When the things that we're doing are matched to who we are in a soul level. But if something in our life is out of alignment, right? So we're not sort of heading in that north, that's when you start to feel resistance. It's like everything in you is sort of pulling you back to say, hey, this is not the right path for you. And I followed a lot of the wrong paths. Like, sometimes not listening to our intuition, not following helps you be better at following it because you know what feels off. Right. And so, it's just really listening and if something is just not right, like the world wants to tell you that you can rationalize and think through it and figure it out. But there is a deeper part of us that is trying to get our attention and is trying to talk to us.
So now you're speaking my language. I'm a somatic movement therapist. And yes,
Okay.
I help people align that what they say and what their body's saying correctly.
I love that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So share with us a recent success story, one of your clients, the before and after.
Yeah. So I just finished working with a woman who had some pretty severe trauma from her lifetime, a lot of sexual trauma, a lot from many different people. And she had been in therapy for 30 years trying to work through it. Mm-hmm. And we worked together in a 3-month period. We were able to really navigate through. I've also studied RTT. I've also studied, my other main technique is shamanic energy medicine. Oh, wow. And where I said I use ancient spiritual truths I believe the ancients, they may not have been as technically advanced, but they were more spiritually advanced than we are now. They were much more right brain. They understood who we were, and they understand what we came here to do. And so, a big part of that is learning how to step out of our past, how to see our trauma from a different light. Instead of being a victim to it, we can be empowered by it. We can learn from it. We can grow from it. We can see our purpose coming from that trauma. And that's a lot of the work that I do in disconnecting us and disconnecting you from your past. We're not trying to erase it or get rid of it, but we're trying to learn to shift sort of a perspective from it. And so, after 3 months working together, she wrote a review and said something along the lines of, after 30 years of therapy, this is topped much above what, that 30 years I couldn't get past this stuff. And in 3 months working with her, and now we also then toward the end started, working on what is it that she wanted to create in the world and what business did she want to go out, and she's doing it. She's going out and creating all these things.
It sounds like very powerful and very rewarding work that you do. So what's next for you? What's the big picture?
Yeah, I do see myself bringing the way that I teach those ancient things and bring and apply them to modern life. I do see myself teaching that on a broader scale. And so I've had some speaking opportunities. I would like to, start getting out there and doing more of it. Also working on a book and a course. So lots of things coming up for sure.
Yeah. So how do we find you?
Yeah, my website is just jenniferdepascale.com, my first and last name.
You got to spell DePascale.
Oh yeah, DePascale, DePascale, Jennifer, 2 N's, DePascale.com.
Very French. I'm afraid some of us who hadn't had French might not be able to spell that. So thank you so much, Jennifer, for being on our show today. We love tips and advice from other CATS coaches, authors, thought leaders, and speakers. I wish you all the luck with your books and your speaking in the future. Thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Big Meow podcast, sponsored by C.A.T.S Network. If you liked what you heard, please take a moment to subscribe and share this podcast with your friends. You can also join our network filled with positivity and possibility. Visit www.catsnetworking.com to join us and learn more, together with your magical, motivated, and mystical new friends at C.A.T.S Network. Let's transform 1 million lives with your message. Are you feeling isolated, sitting at home in your PJs? Or perhaps you're tired of the comfy sweatpants with holes in them that are hidden just below the camera? I mean, you could puke at the thought of another day of Zoom meetings and reporting to your BOSS. Do you want freedom from your home office desk or the office cubicle? Do you want freedom from your current career? Or are you frustrated that your online biz dreams are going nowhere? It's all too overwhelming. Where do you start? All the tech, the choices, and your message. Yep, I said your message, your brand, your voice. What is it? Do you even know what that means? Do you need a biz coach but don't want to invest the big bucks? Let's face it, being a solopreneur is lonely, but you don't have to do it alone. And here's a solution. Join C.A.T.S Network. C.A.T.S Network is a woman-only membership community exclusively available to you, the life coach or executive coach, the author, the thought leader, or the public speaker. If you identify with this list or want to work on adding some of these to your skill set, C.A.T.S is the place for you. Check us out at www.catsnetworking.com. That's C.A.T.S networking.com. Because let's face it, cats are better together.